From our last episode, we saw how Jacob blessed Joseph's children. Today we shall continue the story by reading our Bible from Genesis chapter 49 from verse 1 to 28. And from that passage of the Bible, we saw that Jacob called all his children and told them to gather round him so he can tell them what will happen to them in the days to come. He told them to gather and hear what he, their father, has to tell them. These were his words. Reuben, you my firstborn, my might, the first sign of my strength, excelling in honor, excelling in power. Turbulent as the waters, you will no longer excel, for you went up unto your father's bed, unto my couch, and defile it. Simeon and Levi are brothers. Their swords are weapons of violence. Let me not enter the council. Let me not join the assembly, for they have killed men in their anger, and armed strong oxen as they pleased. Cursed be their anger, so fierce, and their fury so cruel. I will scatter them in Jacob, and disperse them in Israel. Judah, your brothers will praise you. Your hand will be on the neck of your enemies. Your father's sons will bow down to you. You are a lion's cub, O Judah. You return from the prey, my son. Like a lion, like a lion, he crouches and lie down. Like a lioness, who dares to rouse him? The scepter will not depart from Judah, nor the ruler's staff from between his feet, until it comes to whom it belongs, and the obedience of the nation is his. He will tether his donkey to a vine, his colt to the choicest branch. He will wash his garment in wine, his robes in the blood of grapes. His eyes will be darker than wine, his teeth whiter than milk. Zebulun will live by the seashore and become a haven for ships. His border will extend towards Sidon. Issachar is a scrawny donkey, lying down between two saddlebags. When he sees how good is his resting place and how pleasant is his land, he will bend his shoulder to the burden and submit to forced labor. Dan will provide justice for his people as one of the tribes of Israel. Dan will be a serpent by the roadside, a viper along the path, that bites the horse heels so that its rider tumbles backwards. I look for your deliverance, O God. Gad will be attacked by a band of raiders, but he will attack them at their heels. Asher's food will be rich. He will provide delicacies fit for a king. Naphtali is a doe set free that bears beautiful fawns. Joseph is a fruitful vine near a spring whose branches climb over a wall. With bitterness, Acres attacked him. They shot at him with hostility, but his bow remained steady, his strong arms still supple. Because of the hand of the mighty one of Jacob, because of the shepherd, the rock of Israel, because of your father's God, who helps you, because of the Almighty, who blesses you, with blessings of the heavens above, blessings of the deep that lies below, blessings of the breast and womb. Your father's blessings are greater than the blessings of the ancient mountains, than the bounty of the age-old hills. Let all this rest on the head of Joseph, on the brow of the prince among his brothers. Benjamin is a ravenous wolf. In the morning, he devours the prey. In the evening, he divides the plunder. All these are the 12 tribes of Israel. And this is what their father said to them when he blessed them, giving each the blessing appropriate to him. After saying these words to them, he gave them instruction that he is about to die, and that they should bury him with his fathers in the cave that is in the field of Ephron the Hittite, the cave in the field of Machpelah near Mamre in Canaan, which Abraham bought as a burial place from Ephron the Hittite, along with the field. And that was where Abraham and his wife Sarah were buried. The same place Isaac and his wife Rebekah were buried. Same place he buried Leah. Jacob told his children that the cave and the field were bought from the children of Heth. When Jacob was done with his instruction, he drew his feet up into the bed and breathed his last. The story continues. From our last episode, we saw how Jacob died after giving instruction on his burial. Today we shall continue the story by reading our Bible from Genesis chapter 50 from verse 1 to 26. And from this passage of the Bible, we saw that when Jacob died, Joseph threw himself on his father and wept on him. He also kissed him. Afterwards, Joseph directed the physicians in his service to embalm his father Israel. The physician did as Joseph directed. Jacob was embalmed for 40 days because that is the requirement for embalmment. And the Egyptians mourned him for 70 days. When the days of mourning was over, Joseph went up to Pharaoh's house and told Pharaoh that if he has found grace in his sight, Pharaoh should allow him go to the land of Canaan to bury his father, because his father made him swear to bury him in Canaan land. Pharaoh gave Joseph the permission to go bury his father the way he promised. So Joseph traveled back to his country home with all the servants of Pharaoh, the elders of his house, and all the elders of the land of Egypt. Joseph also traveled with his brothers, his household, and his father's household. But their children, their herds, and flocks were left behind in the land of Goshen. Chariots and horsemen also went with him. In fact, it was a great company. When they got to the threshing flood of Atad, near Jordan, they lamented and mourned with a loud and bitter voice. Joseph mourned his father at the threshing flood of Atad for 7 days. When the Canaanites saw how Joseph and his company mourned, they said to themselves, "This is a grievous mourning to the Egyptians." So the name of that place was called Abel Mizraim. Jacob's sons did as he commanded them. They carried him to the land of Canaan and buried him in the cave of the field of Machpelah near Mamre, which Abraham bought as a burial place from Ephron the Hittite. After the burial, Joseph returned back to Egypt together with his accomplices. When they got back to Egypt, Joseph's brothers got really scared that he was going to hate them and pay them back for all that they have done to him. So they sent words to Joseph, telling him that before their father died, he gave them an instruction. They sent words that their father asked him, Joseph, to forgive them of their sin and their wrongdoing towards him. When their message got to Joseph, he wept. His brothers came to him afterwards and threw themselves down before him and told him that they were ready to become his slaves. Joseph reassured them that he was going to nourish and take care of both them and their children, that what they meant for evil, God turned it for good. Joseph and his father's family continued to live in Egypt, and Joseph lived 110 years on earth. Joseph saw Ephraim's children to the third generation. He also saw Micah's children. In fact, after birth, Micah's children were placed on Joseph's knees, and Micah is the son of Manasseh. Manasseh is the firstborn of Joseph. A time came, Joseph told his brothers that he was about to die, but he assured them that God will surely come to their aid and take them out of Egypt to a land he promised on oath to Abraham, Isaac, and their father Jacob. Joseph also made his brothers swear an oath to carry his bones to the promised land God has for them. So Joseph died at the age of 110 years old. His brothers embalmed him, and after his embalmment, he was placed in a coffin in Egypt. And that is the end of our story. Next, I'll be asking questions to see our Bible scholars and also those who followed the entire story. See you then. We have 10 questions to answer on the story of Joseph. Number 1. How did Joseph find himself in Egypt? Number 2. Who was the first master Joseph stayed with in Egypt? Number 3. Who were the two men Joseph met and interpreted their dreams in the prison? How long was the famine going to last in Egypt and all other countries? Number 5. Who was the mother of Joseph? Number 6. Who was the father of Joseph? Number 7. Mention the names of Joseph's younger brother. Number 8. What is the name of Joseph's wife? Number 9. What position was Joseph occupying in Egypt? And number 10. How old was Joseph when he died? I will be waiting to see your answer. Let me see the true Bible scholars or the true followers of the story.